How's it going, guys? Back with another Mustang video. So if you watch some previous videos of mine, you know that I got the car tuned by MARTY OCHs. I had the amazing opportunity to, work with them, get this car finally dialed in correctly. When I was, first going into all this, I was trying to find a reputable tuner because, like I said, if you were watching some previous videos of mine, you know that I've been having issue after issue with this car. My local, tuner that had a dyno, Mustang dyno and stuff like that just totally wrecked this car, tune wise. So I've been searching for months, and headache after headache, not knowing what to do with this car, because I never had a remote tune, or I've never, really did like an email tune or anything like that. That was definitely not my ballpark, and I was very nervous. So I wanted hands on the vehicle, and I didn't really have much in my area. I'd have to travel out of, city limits and stuff like that, hours away, to even, remotely get a decent tuner that tunes these vehicles, or even have, who would have said that I wouldn't have had the same situation. So what I was actually end up doing is, diving into the Facebook groups, the New Edge Mustang, SN95 groups, and just basically searching who does, tunes. I was like, finally just like bite the bullet and let's just do it. So Marty's name kept coming up. I'm sure if you're in those groups, his name is everywhere. So I just was like, okay, let's do this. This is all in my, previous videos as well, guys. I'm just doing some recaps and stuff like that in this video, and a few things that I actually did, to get the car, done and correctly. That's all going to be in this video. It's a very great success. So just stay to the end of this video, and I'll definitely fill you guys in on everything right now. The car is amazing right now. So let me just go step by step. Basically, I was, basically searching for a tuner, found Marty. I gave him a call. Well, I actually ended up shooting him a message on Facebook, and he got back to me the very next day. I am on the West Coast. I'm located in Oregon. He's in Georgia on the East Coast. So it's about a 3 hours difference. Response time was very good, though, for being, 3 hour difference. He would respond pretty much every day. And I know that he's a busy guy. I know that he's, tuning these vehicles, Crown Vics, etc., daily. So he actually does it 7 days a week, which is crazy. That is just crazy in my mind. When I figured that out, he said, he tunes Saturdays, Sundays even. I was like, wow, okay. But anyways, so I was diving into that. And then, he was like, if you need some more information, you're welcome to call me, or I could call you. So I gave him my number. He called me within the hour. And we just were going back and forth. I had a few questions for him and stuff like that. And he wasn't pushy in no way. He was like, reach out to me when you're ready. I'll send you some reviews, stuff like that. And he did everything that, he said. And then I already had my mind up, made up basically. I just wanted the car done. I've been dealing with this for months. If you've been following the journey, if you've been following the videos, watching the videos, you know that it's been a complete headache. It's been a roller coaster ride with this car. For those of you who are just tuning in that are new, I am boosted with a Vortec V3 supercharger. Non-intercooled at the moment, but that's down the road. So I just wanted to get this on the car, buttoned up and everything like that. And it's been months in the making. I did all the supporting mods as well. Everything to do with the fuel. I did the fuel pump, new fuel filter, new injectors, new spark plugs. The list just keeps going on. So I just wanted this car done. So it's been a long time. It's been a little longer than what I anticipated. Let's just go that route. Nothing ever goes as planned, and I know that, but this has been a while. So I'll give you guys a nice little shot of the car while I talk a little bit. So if you guys see anything on the car that you're interested in me, you know, covering a different video on, definitely leave it in the comments. But anyways, back to what I was saying. So I actually ended up contacting him again like a week down the road, or within, you know, a good time period. And basically I was like, you know, I'm definitely interested. I've been dealing with this. And he basically called my local tuner lazy. And let me tell you why. Because I was telling him that my local tuner was having me use the stock MAF sensor. That was ding 1. And he was having me use, or he was using the IATs before the blowers. So I had to relocate and buy a separate IAT sensor from LMR. And I actually ended up, let me see. Here's the charge pipe after the blower that goes into the throttle body. So I actually down here have a separate IAT sensor in this charge pipe. I actually ended up drilling a hole and installing that IAT sensor or ACT sensor, whatever, into that charge pipe. So that was ding 2. And it's just crazy, guys, because that local tuner is very reputable in this town, and he tunes all different kinds of vehicles. And for some reason, my car was the one. And, you know, it would have just been nice if he would have came up and said, you know, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, you know, this car, you know, but his pride probably got in the way and stuff like that. You know, I went back 3 different times after I already paid the man. And basically was like, this car is doing this, that. And he basically was like, you know, the car is tuned properly. He got in the car and we went for a ride, and I don't know. But I finally just took the car and I was just done with it, honestly. Like, I couldn't get through to him. What would have been, you know, cool for the guy if he would have just, you know, said what it was. I can't tune this, blah, blah, blah. Here's half your money back, or, you know, whatever. I would have been fine with that. I would have been fine with that because, you know, there was belt shred on his dyno. He had to, you know, put a new HD belt on it and stuff like that, and all that stuff. I know time, labor, and all that stuff. But if he would have just been, you know, man enough to just basically, you know, whatever. Anyways, so Marty and Jeff, you know, tuned this car. They did an amazing job. They actually ended up, you know, recommending one thing which I've never heard of. You know, after our tune session, like I said, they did 4 different tests, loaded 4 different tunes onto this car, because, you know, everything's not, well, including the base tune 5. And we just went on drives, stuff like that. You know, first one was, you know, firing the car up, you know, letting it idle, revving it a little bit, you know, getting all those trims and stuff dialed in, and loading on one test run, one tune, and then we, you know, got on the road and stuff like that and started doing that more. Did some pulls, some wide open throttle, stuff like that. Dialed that all in. And then what they actually ended up recommending at the end of this whole thing, because I was still having a slight jolt on decel and stuff like that, and, you know, cruising speeds. And actually what they ended up recommending, which I've never heard of, like I mentioned, was a MAF airflow straightener. Some of you guys that are tuning in probably know what he's talking about. I'm new to this, but so I actually ended up installing one of those. It's a product, the company's name is MRP Performance. It's an American-made company. I don't have, this is just the box. I already installed it. And it's like a little honeycomb, like circular shape. and it goes right before the MAF sensor, and it has like a bunch of little, it's like a honeycomb, and it has a bunch of little holes in it. But anyways, what it does is it goes right before the MAF sensor, and it, curves that air going in, because when you're, people install them with aftermarket air intakes and stuff like that. From my knowledge, this is what I'm, going with. It, curves that air, makes it, straighter, going over that MAF sensor. So when that air, without that, I guess, that air is just coming in, spiraling everywhere and going over that MAF sensor. So, it's trying to read the fuel trims and all that stuff, and it's going crazy. So, and I have some bends in my air intake because I am non-intercooled at the moment. So if you know, you know. Right here is where my air filter sits, and then the MAF sensor, and then it curves kind of in to the inlet pipe on top, and then goes into the blower. So that air is just spiraling everywhere, and so it was just, having some misreads and stuff like that. So when I actually installed that up, which was a couple days ago, and I've only taken the car on one test drive after installing it, so I do got to take it on a couple more test drives. But so I installed that, and it straightens that air over that MAF sensor. So I did take the car on a test drive for a good 45 minutes to an hour, and it's a crazy difference, honestly. Jeff and Marty mentioned when we were talking about it that it is only going to fix 50 to 60% of the problem of, that jolting and stuff like that. So like I said, I took it for a test drive, and it was crazy because, I only felt a slight little jolt like once in that whole hour. And usually every time I would let off the throttle and I would just be cruising, doing about 20, 25 in like a residential and stuff like that, it would just, kind of jolt a little bit, and then it would go back, and then it would jolt a little bit, and then it would go back. I'd hit the gas, and then it would go away. But it didn't do that much after installing that, which is, I don't know. But basically, I'm trying to get at, they steered me in the right direction. I am planning on taking the car on a couple more test drives this weekend, and seeing, getting some more information for myself. And, Marty was mentioning, like, we might have to tune it again, or we might not. So far, I'm leaning towards the not. So, we're looking good so far. So basically, like I said, I got to take it for some more test drives. But so far, within that hour, I was very impressed. The car, since I've put out my last video, guys, I've taken the car on some drives. Taken it to a couple meets. I've been just driving the heck out of the car. Took a couple buddies, out for some rides, and they were definitely like a night and day difference. They know that what I've been going through and stuff like that. So yeah, it's crazy, guys. I'll be having to get some pull videos and stuff. I have so many videos planned. I just got the car tuned properly and stuff like that. I know that a lot of you have been waiting on, POV pull videos, just POV drive videos. I have that all planned. My main thing was getting this car, tuned correctly. I didn't want to do those videos and have it fall on its face and stuff like that, because, the ones that have been following the journey know that I would get this car into 4 PSI and it'd fall on its face and go into limp mode. I'd have to limp it home, and I wasn't going to get that on video, you know what I mean? Like, that was just a headache. There would be so much cussing in those videos, so much bad language and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm not going to film that. But now that the car is tuned, and we're looking golden, guys. Like, we're like, I don't want to throw out some fake number. We're not 100% or anything like that. It's never going to. This build will never be done. if you're building the car, if you're building any, you know that the build will never be done. It's what we do, guys. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be that next project. There's always going to be that next part that we want to put on our vehicles. This car is definitely not even close to being done. There's so many things that I want to do with it. But like I said, it's finally tuned. I've done some decent pulls on some long stretch roads, and I hit pretty much 9 PSI every single time, and the car scoots. It's crazy. I've been put into the back of my seat a few times last week. My wife went on the remote tune session with us, and that was the first time she was in the car after it being boosted. And she went into her seat. She didn't know what to expect, and she was giggling. She's not really into cars or anything like that, but that was a fun time. I do got to say, that was a fun time. If you guys are thinking about even getting a MARTY OCHs tune, I definitely recommend it. It's a good time, guys. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be nervous about. I was nervous going into the whole thing, not knowing what to expect or anything like that. There's not many videos out there. There's a couple, but I wanted to just put that information out for you guys. If you guys are thinking about it, even if you're driving, even if you're not driving a Mustang, if you're driving, a Crown Vic, etc., go do it. Don't even think about it. Just hit him up, and he'll get you on the schedule. He'll send, if you don't have an SCT handheld device, he sends it to you. It's not expensive, in my opinion. It's really not. And you get great quality work. You get great quality experience. It's a fun time. Like, they make it fun. There's jokes, all kinds of stuff. It's just, they don't make you feel, pressured in any way or whatsoever. They're very patient. I had a couple little hiccups when we first fired up the session. I couldn't, connect to the hotspot. My wires were incorrect on my AFR gauge, stuff like that. They were literally on the phone walking me through all this stuff, and we finally got on the road and did it all, and it was amazing, guys. Like, they work with you. If there's certain things that are missing, they can always reschedule, and it's still, in the same price and everything. The tune is the tune. They finish the tune. It's just a great experience, guys. So if you're thinking about it, do it. If you guys have any questions or, anything, you're welcome to reach out to me. You're welcome to leave it down in the comments. We can have a conversation. But yeah, for this video, that's what it is. If there's something that I didn't touch base on in this video that you guys were curious about, or something certain, definitely leave it down in the comments, guys. I will definitely get to you guys. But anyways, if you guys are liking the content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I would definitely appreciate it, guys. And like always, thanks for watching this video.